Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition Show 2024 College Football Predictions. Next up is the SEC. I'm going to go over my projected standings and then pick a conference winner. All right. So in first place, from a regular season standpoint, 12-0 overall, 8-0 in conference play. Texas Longhorns. Yes, Texas is back, folks. I said this a year ago, and I think I predicted last year they were going to make the playoff, and they did. You can make a case that they should have made the national title game, but I don't know if they would have beaten Michigan. Probably not. But then again, Michigan probably should have lost to Alabama, and Alabama should have won the title. And now those two teams, Texas and Bama, are in the same conference. So that's kind of ironic that the two teams that probably should have been in the title game last year are in the same conference now. And so are the two teams that played each other in the conference title game. So talk about irony. Texas is loaded. Quinn Ewers is back. Great receivers, but all transfers, but that's okay. C.J. Baxter at running back's really good. Excellent offensive line. Good tight ends. Pass rush is solid. Secondary is really good. Special teams really good. They'll miss Byron Murphy, Vontae Sweat, and Xavier Worthy, but I think they'll overcome those losses. Second, 11-1 overall, 7-1 in conference play, the Georgia Bulldogs. You're arguably should be 3-time national champions if they got by Alabama in the SEC title game, but their one bad game all season cost them a playoff spot, and I think they're going to have a big chip on their shoulder. Carson Beck's back at quarterback. They have a good running back in Trevor Etienne, really good receivers. Etienne obviously comes from Florida. Really, really good offensive line and tight ends. They get Urasek, the Stanford transfer. Really good pass rush, good secondary. I think their only big loss, I have two big losses, Brock Bowers on offense and obviously Kamari Lassiter on defense. And you can make a case that Kirby Smart is the best coach in the country now that Nick's retired. In third, 10-2 overall, 6-2 in the conference. Speaking of Nick, it's Alabama. I thought that Alabama was going to spit out lower than usual in my projections, but their schedule, they catch some breaks. And I think you can get away with 2 losses to make the playoffs now, especially in the SEC. And obviously in the Big Ten is the other league where you can, and maybe even the Big 12. I mean, yeah, you can in the Big 12 because I have a 2-loss Big 12 champion. So, Alabama, they have a lot of Washington transfers coming, obviously. Jalen Milroe really good. Probably the third best quarterback in the conference. Some may say second ahead of Quinn Ewers, but I would take Quinn Ewers over Jalen Milroe at this point. They have a good running back in Justice Haynes. Good offensive line. A true freshman starting at left tackle. That's not going to be easy. Pass rush is really good. Secondary is good. And they have really good special teams, which helps. Big losses, J.C. Latham, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Dallas Turner, Terrion Arnold. And, of course, no bigger loss in college football than the best college football coach in my lifetime, Nick Saban. But you'll still see Nick Saban on Saturdays on ESPN's Game Day. So, yeah. So, Kalen DeBoer takes over for Saban, obviously, and I just don't think Alabama's Alabama anymore, although I do have them with a better record than I thought I was going to have them at. Fourth, 10-2 overall, 6-2 in conference play, the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss is loaded. Jackson Dart at quarterback. They have 2 good running backs, really good at receiver and tight end. Their pass rush is excellent. They have a good offensive line. They have a good secondary. They lose Quinshon Judkins, which I think they can make up that loss with Ulysses Bentley and Rashad Amos, who's the other transfer that comes in to replace him pretty much. But I do like this Ole Miss team, and Lane Kiffin is a really good head coach. Fifth, 9-3 overall, 6-2 in conference play, the Texas A&M Aggies. Texas A&M in a new era. Mike Elko is the coach. Jimbo Fisher's out. Jimbo Fisher, I feel like you can make a case with one of the more overrated coaches in college football, and he just lucked into that Jameis season a couple years ago. Yeah, Connor Weigman's their quarterback. They have really good receivers, A&M. They're decent at linebacker, decent in the secondary. They lose Reuben Owens to injury, which isn't great. They have a really good multi-purpose Christian McCaffrey type of player that they lost in Aeneas Smith. He's now on the Eagles. So yeah, I do think Texas A&M is going to be good, but I don't think they're going to double-digit games. I could be wrong. 6, 9-3 overall, 5-3 in conference play. The LSU Tigers. This team has a better chance to get the double digits than Texas A&M. I genuinely believe that, and I think Brian Kelly's a good coach. I just think he gets a bad rap because of Notre Dame. Garrett Newseemer's the quarterback. We'll see how he performs. They're really good at receiver. They have good special teams. They have a really good offensive line. Running game's going to be good. But their defense isn't as good as it used to be, and that's a problem for LSU. Because LSU, their best teams were always because of their good defense. I mean, their offense is always good, it feels like, and they always give birth to receivers that turn out to be stars in the NFL, and that's their calling card. But those good LSU teams always had good defenses, and especially in the pass rush, and now they don't really have that great of a pass rush, which is a problem. I mean, the reason why I don't have this team as a contender, Jaden Daniels, big loss, Malik Neighbors, big loss, Brian Thomas, big loss. They lose those 3 players, and I think that they will still have a good season because of their coaching, but I think those 3 losses will be hard to against the better talent in the conference. 7th, 8-4 overall, 4-4 in conference play, the Oklahoma Sooners. I think people are going to call that a disappointment for Oklahoma, considering Oklahoma's used to being the 9-3 or better. Jackson Arnold's their starting quarterback. They're really good at receiver. Their defense is actually really good. Their defense, I think, is more talented than LSU's defense. They're really good in the pass rush, and their secondary is excellent. They lose Dylan Gabriel. That's a big loss. Drake Stoops is a big loss at receiver. Gavin Freeman transfers. Tyler Guyton, big loss. Twee Walker, big loss. So they have some losses that I think are hard to overcome, especially Gabriel. 8th in the conference, 8-4 overall, 4-4 in conference play, the Missouri Tigers. I think Missouri takes a step back. A slight step back, but not a big step back. They were good last year. Brady Cook, a quarterback. And they have a decent offense, a good offensive line. Pass rush is good. That's probably their best aspect of their team other than their quarterback. They do lose Darius Robinson. That's a big loss on defense, even though I still think their pass rush is pretty good. And Cody Schrader at running back's a big loss for them as well. 9th, 7-5 overall, 4-4 in conference play, the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee's good. They have a true freshman or a redshirt freshman starting at quarterback in Nico Amaleva. They have really good receivers and tight ends, decent offensive line, so their offense is going to be able to score points. Decent pass rush, but their secondary is like non-existent, which is not ideal. 10th, 6-6 overall, 3-5 in conference play, the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky does have some talent. They're really good at receiver. They have the 2 Coxes on the offensive line. Their linebackers are really good. They lose Ray Davis, which is a big loss, though. 11th, 8-4 overall, 3-5 in conference play. Wait, that's not right. That is not right. Hang on. So, yeah, 8-4 overall, 4-4 in conference play. I don't know why I had 3-5 written down. So, I had the placements wrong in the conference. So, Oklahoma 7, Missouri 8, Tennessee 9, Auburn I have 10th. The Auburn Tigers. So, I think Auburn's going to surprise some people this year, especially in the non-con play, and they have some favorable home games, but I think they fall apart at the end of the year. They have veterans around the roster, transfers at receiver, decent offensive line, decent kicker. They lose Jalen Simpson in the secondary. So I have Kentucky 11th, and in 12, 5-7 overall, 3-5 in conference play. The Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas is a team that has a hot seat coach in Sam Pittman. I can't believe Sam Pittman's in year 5. I feel like Sam Pittman was in year 3. I had no idea he's in his 5th year. That's crazy. They have some transfers coming in that should help. They're good at receiver and tight end. Their offensive line's okay. They do lose some transfers. Chris Paul Jr., Max Fletcher, the punter. KJ Jefferson they lose. Taylon Green replaces him. 13, 3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference play, the Florida Gators. I think Florida is going to STINK. This is not Florida football. This is a program that's in decline. No coach is on the hotter seat in all of college football than Billy Napier. Florida, I feel like, is a team that always tries to hire the savior, and it fails on their face. Bill Napier, year 3. And then before that, it failed with Dan Mullen, who came over from Mississippi State. And he was he had some moments, but that fan base turned on him. And before that was Jim McElwain, who was good at Colorado and had some decent years with Florida. And then before that was Muschamp. So, Florida's just been a program in turmoil over the past decade. I feel like they change coaches every 3 years. And they just have a hard schedule and they don't have a lot of talent. And their quarterback is someone who was awful at Wisconsin and Graham Mertz. The case for them, they're decent at receiver. They have some good linemen. Secondary's okay, and they have good special teams. That's the case for Florida, but I just don't see them making a bowl. They're the Colorado of the SEC. 14th, 4-8 overall, 1-7 in conference play. The South Carolina Gamecocks. The reason why I have South Carolina with the better regular season overall record in Florida is because of their non-cons easier than Florida's. South Carolina's good receivers, both transfers though. They have a redshirt freshman starting at quarterback. The running back's good, Raheem Sanders. They have some players on defense that I like. And their special teams aren't bad. Their big loss is Xavier Legette, the wide receiver, who they lost to the Panthers. 15th, 2-10 overall, 0-8 in conference play. The Vanderbilt Commodores. Vandy stinks. And I say stinks, capital STINKS. Clark Lea is definitely on the hot seat. Former Notre Dame defensive coordinator. I don't think his seat is hotter than Napier's or Sam Pittman's, but it has to be because Vanderbilt stinks. I mean, their quarterback comes from New Mexico State, Diego Pavia. And they have an okay secondary, and that's really it. And at the bottom of the conference, this is sad. 2-10 overall, 0-8 in conference play. The Mississippi State Bulldogs. They just have a super hard schedule, and they don't have a lot of talent. Jeff Lebby is in year 1, replacing Zach Garnett, who well, this is sad because Arnett obviously had to take over for Mike Leach, who passed away. And then they were 4-6 last year when they got fired. So Mississippi State is just a really, really messy school. And then Jeff Lebby's now their coach, like I said. He comes over from Oklahoma as he worked under Brett Venables there. So, yeah, hard schedule. They have a lot of transfers coming in. They do have some defensive talent. That's really it. They lose Will Rogers. I liked him. But, yeah, tough situation for Mississippi State. All right, so the SEC championship. I have Texas and Georgia, but I have Georgia over Texas in the SEC title game. So Georgia wins the rematch of the SEC title game in Atlanta with the home crowd behind them. And both teams will, spoiler, make the college football playoff. All right, bold prediction for the conference. This is a hard one. And I'm going to say that this is Lane Kiffin's last season at Ole Miss. And he'll leave. And then for the second time in this past decade, the Florida Gators will hire a coach from its own conference to be its next guy. First it was Dan Mullen. That didn't work out. And now it's going to be Lane Kiffin will be the next head coach at Florida. So odds for the SEC. Georgia or Texas is definitely favored. Georgia plus 180, Texas plus 370, Bama's 5-1, Ole Miss is plus 750, LSU 12-1, A&M 14-1, Tennessee 16, Missouri 25, Oklahoma 35, Kentucky and Auburn 110, Florida's 120, South Carolina's 200, Arkansas is 400, Vandy's 500, so is Mississippi State. The value is on Ole Miss at plus 750. With all the talent they have on their roster, you can make a case for LSU or even Texas A&M. But I think the value is on Ole Miss at plus 750. I'm not that big in on Bama. But if Jalen Milroe makes a big leap, I can talk myself into them at 5-1. But maybe if I got Bama at Ole Miss's price, I would have talked myself into it. But I think Ole Miss has the better price. I'm going to say Ole Miss at plus 750 to win the SEC. Win totals for the SEC. So Bama's 9.5, Arkansas 4.5, Auburn 7.5, Florida 4.5, Georgia 10.5, Kentucky 6.5, LSU 9.5. Wow, heavy juice on the under there. Mississippi State 4.5, Missouri 9.5, Ole Miss 9.5, South Carolina 5.5, Tennessee 8.5, Texas 10.5, A&M 8.5, Vandy 2.5. I think a lot of these are right on the money. But the one I like the most, I can't go. I mean, over at Alabama, the plus money is enticing. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, this one's a hard one. Over 10.5 with Texas at plus 144 with the hard schedule. So it's either that one or under at Florida. But I'm gonna go the over with not Georgia, over 10.5 with Texas. Or is it 9.5? What was the Texas number? 10.5. I'm gonna go over 10.5 with Texas plus 144. I just think Texas is back and loaded, and I think that they're gonna be right there with Georgia and Ohio State and Oregon for the national championship contender. So Steve Sarkisian, really good coach. This is his best coaching job. And I'm going to go over 10.5 wins for Texas for my favorite win total in this conference at plus 144. So there you have it for the SEC. Next up is going to be a little bit of a longer show, but we're going to not go in depth with each conference in terms of about each team. So we're going to do group of fives, independent Pac-12. So stay tuned for part 5.